Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beers and Bullshit. My name is Cole Blender. Thank you so much for tuning in here today, tonight, tomorrow, this afternoon, whatever fucking time you're turning in. We really appreciate it, so thank you guys. On this episode here, I got a good friend, longtime buddy of mine, football fan, former chef that I worked with, just overall life aficionado and fantasy football general manager, which is the most stressful job in the world, Mr. Tyler Young. How you doing today, bud?
What's up? Happy to be here, man.
Oh, yeah. So Tyler is a fellow Bay fan, as I still will claim Oakland for the Raiders. He's going to be a Niners fan here. So we're just going to be chopping it up here, talking a little bit about just kind of some random stuff. We're going to start off with the draft, kind of kick it off and see where it goes from there. Here on Beers and Bullshit, we are not drinking beer, but we are drinking energy drinks. So I got a Zions zero sugar energy drink, cherry lime in flavor, as I'm rocking as always. And Tyler, what are you shouting out today?
Today is the Monster Energy Ultra Rosa. It's my new favorite. Also zero sugar, but we're rocking a red grapefruit flavor.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love the zero sugar energy drinks because it doesn't give you the crash at the end of the day. And for me, it just, boom, just kicks you into focus and just gets you rocking and rolling here. And
they still taste amazing.
Oh, exactly. Like, I love these Zions cherry limes that they taste like, kind of like a cross between a traditional Shirley Temple and then cherry 7-Up.
They are right there.
So, yeah. Yeah, I love it.
I remember when Zions was the official sponsor of the UFC, and me and my friends drank them because it was cool, you know?
Right, yeah. You're like, I'll kick your ass, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, old school. Zuffa and Zions were like always on the mat.
On everything, yep.
I kind of miss that old UFC a little bit because of the custom trunks that they could
I know. Do. Before the Reebok deal, when everyone's trunks look cool and you could have banners and walkout shirts, I used to look for hours online. What fighter's cool walkout shirt can I buy? And they all had cool mottos and whatever. And now it's like you can buy a Reebok shirt, or I guess now it's Venom, but a Venom or Reebok shirt, and it has their logo and then the fighter's name on it. And that's it.
I know. It's like it got so dumbed down and so. Like, I guess cool for Dana White for just becoming all corporate, making it a respectable organization, because I think you've seen the UFC grow during that time. But I think that's one thing, as someone who's been watching it for a long time now, albeit casually. I'm not going to say I'm a hardcore fan, but man, I've been watching since a little bit before like the Liddell Ortiz days. Like I remember within the first year or two of me starting to watch like the UFC pay-per-views, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz kind of started their big rivalry, but. Yeah, I miss that more from the video game aspect though, because I miss on UFC Undisputed 3 is the last time you could do it. Oh. You could custom do your entire shirt. So you could, if you were trying to be, a slut for sponsors, man, you would just throw every single logo on like a base t-shirt.
Yep. Yeah. You had your t-shirt, you had your hat, you had your trunks, and UFC Undisputed 3 is still hands down, shout out to my buddy Dakota because he'll vouch, is the absolute best UFC game that has ever been released ever.
I still have a copy of it for the Xbox 360. I still go back and retro game all the time.
Me too.
It was funny enough, as I was waiting for you here, I actually recorded a little mini episode rant because behind me right now paused is MLB 21 the show. And I was kind of shouting out because MLB is like the only game I think recently that's kind of kept their balls up as far as, improving every single time, because UFC when they switched over to EA, it was... Well, it's what happens when shit switches over to the Electronic Arts. It just goes there to die. It's a video game wasteland. They sell out. It becomes monetized. It becomes, like when they started doing Ultimate Team for the fighters, I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Seriously.
EA UFC, the first one was okay. I think it was more just on the hype train. Like, oh, we get a new UFC game. Awesome. And it was whatever. And then 2 sucked. 3 sucked. EA UFC 4... I had a hell of a time playing. It was so much fun. I put days into it. Haven't touched it in a while because it's a fighting game. So once you beat your career, you go back and forth here and there. But that game was fun. It was seriously fun.
I did appreciate UFC 4 and kind of the different aspects they threw into the career mode. But still, man, UFC 3 was just the one. I could go back and I could spam 10 different career modes and 10 different divisions, and just go back. And it had the replayability, because I think that's what we're losing today in the games. I was just talking about that, is the replayability. The show here, it's so deep, I can hardly start a new career, but if I want to, with the amount of time I have, I can have 2 careers, back and forth and kind of play that and experience that dynamic to where... Man, if you're talking like Madden 2K now, it's expensive if you even want to be decent in 2K.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're talking Madden, you're either just cheating or it's so bland.
Right. And that's I want to see, because I think it was UFC Undisputed 2. They tried something in the career mode where you could they added the face-offs and you could trash talk and this and that. And I would like to see that come back because now we're 5 games later than that. And in that time, you've seen guys like Conor McGregor shoot to stardom and all these guys with the whole trash talking thing. And that's drawn so many fans to the UFC and MMA in general. Shout out last night, Jake Paul.
Who I will say I highly disrespected the Paul brothers, but what they are doing is ingenious for the modern day. They're actually, honestly, I would not be short to call them obviously a little bit stupid as far as like, kind of social skills sometimes and not saying the right thing. But man, when you talk about marketing and how to just make money, and honestly, when we're talking professional wrestling terms, they just play heels.
Yeah.
Real life heels, and they're fucking fantastic at
Absolutely.
it, and I can respect the hustle out of that.
I've always loved heels. I've always rooted for the heels in anything. And I have respect for Logan Paul because he's fighting boxers. He's boxing boxers. And he's pretty quiet for the most part. But this whole Jake Paul thing that's gone down is annoying, but I can respect the hustle. It's working for him for now. I think now he's kind of signed his name on the dotted line that says I need to fight a boxer now, and we'll see what happens. But he's shown, like Ariel Helwani said, he's shown that he's got power. He's got fundamental boxing down.
Well, and I think we were talking about this yesterday at work before the fight, because I think there was almost no doubt that Paul was going to do it, because if you're an average layman and I think you don't know too much about fighting, and I'm not going to say I'm even an expert, but at least from casually watching it and being a sports fan, I think if you take anybody and you take them and you put them at the elite level of competition, I'm not saying that if you gave me $5 million and you put me at that level that I could fucking knock out Ben Askren, but I could tell you I could get goddamn close if I put the time and effort into it that they do, because respect, like they did quit being YouTubers, and that is still, like, I can tell you from hosting this little shitty podcast, it still takes up a lot of time. So I imagine, obviously, kind of going off of that, still trying to be a content manager and stuff like that. And then on top of that, adding, training at an elite level, because they do, like, keeping up, they do train, they're 5-6 days a week. They're in the gym, putting in the time to be at, as professional boxers. So
and it's not like they're doing, the rookie training stuff either. Like Jake Paul was training with Jorge Masvidal, who knocked Ben Askren's head off, and
he's the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Mike Tyson, and like he's just getting studs in there with him. So props, popularity speaks.
Exactly. And so it's like I said, at the end of the day, when it first started out, I was a hater. I will admit that one, like everyone else. It's like, okay, you have another just, fuckboy who takes some HGH, goes to the gym 5 days a week and thinks he can fight. But then the Paul brothers actually started getting in the ring. They showed some boxing prowess. Like, who was it? It was when he fought like K2 or whatever, K1 or whatever his name was, the guy from England, the FIFA guy.
I think that's still projected to happen. That hasn't happened yet.
No, I think, but there was one where they did fight. There was one where they did fight, and I just remember watching him, and I don't know, I can't remember if he won. I think he won the fight by split decision, but just the form, and he looked more like an actual boxer. Like, he didn't actually win that, but you saw like you saw he actually had like the form and everything. You're like, okay, like if he takes this serious, this could be something. And celebrity boxing, honestly, it's a gluttonous thing, but I mean, you like watching. You like watching these guys from like other sports and other walks of life get in there and fight. Honestly, it's entertaining. Like, I was a huge fan of pros versus Joes back in the day. You love seeing competition from people in other aspects, especially as a sport fan. You like seeing the outsider come in and just being like, okay, what can they do? Because it's fun to watch, and then it also, obviously, we kind of live vicariously through that too, and just be like, man, I can fucking do that.
And now it's 2021, and social media rules the world. So, dude, last night's fight was so incredibly memeable. And we saw when Jake Paul knocked out Nate Robinson. That fight was also super memeable. Yep. You go on Twitter right now, and you go on Twitter right now, and you look up Ben Askren, and the first 5 tweets you see are going to be pictures of him, and people are calling him like a substitute teacher. Or
yeah, Ben Askren clocking in for a minute and a half just to get his 500 G's. Like,
I'm with the Twitter crowd that thinks that fight looks like it was a little staged. I mean, like, I'm not taking anything from Jake Paul away. Like I said, he's got power. He's got the fundamental boxing down. But Ben Askren walked out of that ring looking so happy. He was.
I just made some fucking money.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Like,
he got paid title fight money, bro.
If he threw that fight, whatever, man.
But here's the deal. I think on another aspect, though, you've seen the excitement for outside boxing because when you talk about like Wilder Fury coming up, and you talk about the Triple G, and Canelo series and everything like that, you talk about boxing is starting to become more into the mainstream, and I love seeing that because it has such a rich part of history in this country, man.
Huge.
When you're talking about the first real major sports, you're talking about baseball and boxing. I mean, first, Rocky Marciano, Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, all of these guys who were, huge. Mike Tyson, once again, George Foreman, Evander Holyfield. We're talking about guys who were superstars in their time because boxing was just so exciting. It's the time these guys would fight 3-4 times a year and make millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And you're starting to see it come back to that. The UFC is kind of, loving it, and cross-promoting a little bit. And the fight community is all kind of starting to come together to really lift boxing back up because, man, for a while there, it was in dire straits. It looked like it was Floyd Mayweather. And nobody else watched anything.
I like that a lot. And I'm gonna, as long as I ever talk about MMA or boxing or anything in the combat sports realm, Conor McGregor is gonna come up because I think he plays a large part of that. With him fighting Floyd Mayweather, it put the whole MMA boxing crossover thing on the map.
It was a huge bridge, and also
Yeah.
I will say props to Floyd Mayweather because honestly one of the best promoters of our generation.
He's huge, but before that fight got put on paper, it was years and years and years of speculation. It was could Anderson Silva box? Could Junior Dos Santos box? Because Junior Dos Santos has boxing history, but he was the UFC heavyweight champion, or this UFC heavyweight champion, this UFC heavyweight. Like, people were just speculating all these UFC champions, could they box? Or speculating all these boxing champions, could they make it in the ring? And the answer is realistically, fuck no. But there was so much talk, and then Conor McGregor was like, I can do that.
Yeah. And I think you look back at the UFC and, shouts out to Anderson Silva. I think you look back at probably the last 10, 15 years and where the UFC has gone, and I think you can probably marquee up 10 or 15 athletes who were instrumental to that. Now, I'm not talking, obviously, you have your good champions in between, but when you talk about your Georges St. Pierre's, you talk about your Chuck Liddells, your Tito Ortiz's, Anderson Silva's, I probably put like a Rampage Jackson up there as a huge, wasn't a longtime champion, but a, popular athlete. I would put these transcendent athletes, and then you talk about the huge leaps forward. I think the two biggest of all time are Ronda Rousey for the women, and then Conor McGregor just for the overall presence of the UFC. We haven't seen anybody. He's like Muhammad Ali if Muhammad Ali was a fucking leprechaun.
People that don't
seriously though, he has the best shit talking, but he's 5'9", he's 5'9", $160 at the end of the day. Yeah. He whooped my ass hands down. That is on record. But and shout out, respect. I love him because Irish descendant here. But you know what I mean. Like, I'm not Conor McGregor. Like that's part of his appeal.
I wouldn't be too confident about it or anywhere near confident about it. But if it was ever, I would jump on the ship to get in the cage with Conor McGregor. Sign my life away. I'll last as long as I possibly can. But at the end of the day, I'll take that payday.
Dude, naps are temporary. Memories are forever.
Seriously.
Right? Yeah, and I'll remember walking into the cage. Probably nothing the fuck else, but I will remember walking in that cage.
Yep. And afterwards, I'm taking the money that I went off Conor McGregor. Probably not, because he actually is a really nice guy. He loves his fans. So I'm heading out to Dublin. Conor McGregor's going to show me where he grew up. He's going to get me in a couple pubs that he probably owns now, and let's get it. We're going to party it up, but I got to get paid first, so you could punch me in the face a few times.
Yep.
Or
knock
once.
my ass out, yeah. There's all those posts on Facebook. It's like, would you let someone knock you out? I'm like, man, I don't think you get this. I say this consistently on the show. I'm a slut for opportunity.
Yes.
And I would let someone knock me out for fucking 10 grand, honestly,
No
bro. Like I
shit.
said, naps are temporary, all right? That shit'll last a little bit longer. Yeah. The
dude.
money will last me a lot longer than a goddamn nap will, all right? That can go straight to the retirement account, straight to the 401k.
We're
Invest
mid 20s in 2021 in corporate United States of America, and 10 grand to get knocked out. Dude, me and my friends used to choke each other out for fun. If I could get paid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like the fucking Kenny meme. Wait, you guys are getting paid?
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are getting paid.
You guys are getting paid? Shit, I did this shit for Because I was bored.
Yeah, right. I know we used to do that shit too. I remember, I remember going back because we used to have the fucking what was it like the Samsung NV little orange ass flip phone, and I had videos on there of me and my boys fighting back in the day. Like this is 11 years ago. We're in the backyard. We put twine between trees to signal the presence of a quote unquote ring. This started out with us fake wrestling because of WWE and turned into our obsession of UFC. We'd always pitch in and rent the fights over at my buddy's house, and then we started fighting outside because my buddy Robert, his grandpa, ran a dojo out in fucking was it a dojo? It was something out in Blackhawk, and so he trained and he fought himself, and so it was like. So we started doing it ourselves, and I just remember we kind of started, toying around. And one of the first times we did this, homie caught me in a half arm bar, but he didn't lock it in, and he weighed 110 pounds. And you know me, I have been big my entire life, and I am fresh off of seeing Rampage Jackson. I swear to God, I could have killed him. I seriously power bombed him on the cold, hard ground. And I am talking.
That is stone cold
grass, fall time grass, just no padding whatsoever.
Ow.
So Robert Dodd, if you ever listen to this, fucking love and respect you, because he kicked my ass 9 times from Sunday after that. But honestly, that's the one shining moment I have from him is I fucking power bombed the piss out of that kid. That's
funny. We all live the same life here. I think me and my friends decided we made our own thing called the BFC, and it was the Backyard Fighting Championship.
Oh yes.
And sometimes it was in a backyard, sometimes it was in the locker room at Douglas High School, sometimes it was in our friend's living room in his apartment on Surfwood. But there's videos on YouTube to this day. If you go on YouTube and look me up, you could see me fighting when I was like 12, 13 years old. We would just put on gloves we bought at Shields and we'd scrap it out. And we tried to be so super official about it. We made fight cards. We made promos. We had weigh-ins. And it was like, God, how embarrassing.
I know. I love it looking back, too, because you're like, God damn, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, bro, really? You thought you were all badass doing shit? Like, we would walk out to songs. I remember walking out to Pain by 3 Days Grace.
That's funny. I walked out to Amazing by Kanye West.
Oh, yes. Yes. What was, so my boy Chacon, what the fuck did he do? He did something by, what is it? I think it was I Made It by that Jay Sean, Kevin Rudolph, Birdman. I made it. Yeah, so he'd do that. I forget what everybody else did, but I think Martin did some Tech 9 or something like that. It was fucking the good old times of when you think you are such a badass at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. Now I'm 27 and my knees pop when I walk down the hallway. I'm like, it sounds like this in a silent hallway. It's like,
that's what my buddy.
I'm like,
told
I start
me yesterday.
beatboxing to it, and I'm like,
That's what my buddy told me yesterday. He's like, "Oh, wait till you get to 30. Your knees hurt more." I'm like, dude, I'm 23 right now, and it sounds like I'm walking on bubble wrap when I bend my legs.
Right. Shout out knee injuries, no free promotions, no free press. Yeah. Thank you for barely taking me here.
Someone help me out with some healthcare because I could use a chiropractor.
Yeah, goddamn it. Yeah, fucking get that universal shit going. Oh wait, sorry, that's right. I forget it. Yeah, after you make a certain amount of money, you're supposed to not like universal healthcare and caring about other people.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.
That's right. Sorry. We don't get political on this show, my bad. But, no free rides, but it'd be nice if people could get some free healthcare. Just saying. But
impeach Christie.
Fucking thank. Yes. Yeah. Oh, God. If I could have one mission in life, it would actually be to bring back blueberry cheesecake ice cream from Ben and Jerry's. I've been tweeting at Ben and Jerry's.
I retweeted that.
Yep, I know you did. I have been hard tweeting at Ben and Jerry's. I'll tweet some soft shit, and then I'll be like, but you know what can make it all better at the end of the day? If fucking Ben and Jerry's brings back their blueberry cheesecake ice cream.
I would disregard so much bullshit if you guys would give me what I want, Ben and Jerry's.
I'm just saying, man, it's 2021. We've just been through a year of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Life is hard.
Difficult.
If I could have my favorite ice cream back, that'd be fantastic. Because it all started with a tweet. Because I tweeted. I'm like, dear, this is a letter to my ex. I'm like, I hope your favorite flavor of ice cream is seasonal because that is the ultimate pain. Not anything I've ever been through in a relationship. But the fact that in 2012 and 2013, Ben & Jerry's released blueberry cheesecake ice cream, and then they took it off the shelves, and they've not brought it back since. I tweeted them, and they tweeted back at me. They said that it is in their flavor graveyard. So that's really fucked up to come like, yeah. I'm like, the flavor graveyard. I'm like, whatever. Guess we're going crib shopping. Let's go, bro. Like, yeah, grab your shovel. Yeah, let's go. I'm like, I've watched enough Supernatural. I know how to rob a grave. Don't fucking test me, Ben & Jerry's. Do not test me.
Ben & Jerry's just told you, find your dreams, kid.
Yeah, what I heard is challenge accepted, all right? let's go, Ben & Jerry's. You have no idea what kind of match.
Your corporate address is public knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. So I know where the flavor graveyard is. I just want answers, and I just want happiness. Just think of the impact you can make on not only my life, like I'm an advocate for the people. I'm the voice for the voiceless here. I am telling you the people demand blueberry cheesecake ice cream. But the second thing I demand after that, if not, we need to impeach Christie Noem and get her out of office. Just because, honestly, I am so tired of politicians Twitter fighting. Stay up off Twitter. That's for celebrities. I love it in my celebrity fight match game. I do not like politicians on Twitter. That is regardless of party. AOC,
Agreed.
stay off Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, Bernie, stay off Twitter. Stay the fuck off Twitter. Seriously, release press announcements. You are a politician. You are not a celebrity.
Get on the TV.
You're a public servant. Get on the television. Put that shit. Say it with your chest, all right?
Start a podcast.
Yep, start a podcast. Just like I said, just fucking God, get out there. I hate Twitter nowadays for politicians. I love Twitter in general, but it's just so snide and snappy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, like the last 4 years when he shall not be named was in office, it was just like I said, no party affiliation associated here. I just do not like it when presidents are on Twitter. I'm like, even Joe Biden, I'm just like, I like that he's not on Twitter, but Joe, stop fucking texting me all the time. Oh my God. Yeah, Donald never hit me up like this, bro. Seriously, Donald left me alone. Donald just showed up on the timeline. Donald was not in my DMs, all right?
The whole time that Donald was in office, I got these texts all the time from like, apparently I would sign petitions and they would just add my number to this list and I would get texts daily. Sign this petition so we can do this. Sign this petition so we can do this. And I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Yeah. No. I'm like, listen, I try to stay politically conscious. I will say I'm not like super into everything because, to be honest, I honestly try to see both sides or every angle because sometimes there's more than one angle. But at the end of the day, I think that's what we're lacking big time in America is like, honestly, just the look to see the other side. Because like, man, if I can disagree with somebody, cool. But I think it takes a bigger person to stop for a second, take yourself really out of the conversation, and, just really look at their point of view, try to associate with it for a second. And even if you can't, and if you are so offended, then honestly, you're probably the problem that you can't be flexible enough to really reach other people because I think that's how you get, America
definitely
back to where people are kind of getting along a little bit better.
It's fundamental debate. Just 101. Like I learned this as a freshman in debate class where you cannot build a confident base on your ideology, no matter what it is, if you are not willing to look at it from the opposition, if you're not going to put yourself in the opposition's shoes, or if you're not going to entertain opposition's arguments against your case. You cannot have a solid political standing. And the fact that in today, whether you're left or right or wherever, the majority of their standing is I believe this, but if it comes to anything on the other side, it's pretty much la 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 la, I can't hear you. Like, come on. You have to open your mind, open your ears, just listen sometimes.
Exactly. And like I said, like even if it's not your opinion, I think at the end of the day, being able to bite your tongue, because I think in a world where our culture has become so woke and so activism driven, there is a good aspect to that, but to talk about the bad aspect of that is I think that everybody is so action driven, it makes for a lack of thought, it makes for a lack of comprehension, it makes for a lack of just deeper analysis as far as when you were talking about like I said, just really dealing with other people's opinion. When you talk about the right, you're talking about people who they disregard the left as a bunch of immature, emotionally driven, children. But when you talk about the left looking at the right, they're talking, it's a bunch of, emotionless cretins who all they care about is money and prosperity of their own. And it's like, that's not the case for either side. I think you're just seeing people who look at things a little bit different. And then at the same time, the fire is just being thrown just fucking tons of gasoline and kerosene and fucking uranium uranium and just explosive material all inside of it by our modern day politicians, by the news anchors on the fucking, national television networks. And I think 100%. You're sitting here when it's like, man, dude, to quote semi-pro and Will Ferrell, ELE, man, everybody love everybody.
No shit. It is okay. It is absolutely okay to disagree with. You can disagree with everybody. But if your main goal is to burn the other side down before you try to educate them or listen to them, get the fuck out.
Exactly. Yeah, if your idea is to eliminate the enemy instead of educate the enemy.
Yeah. Unless
obviously we're talking about, true standards of like evil here,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a line to be drawn in every situation.
Of course.
So please don't assume we're, cocking off it. Let's give serial killers a chance now. Maybe there's a reason they cock off and kill all these people. But there's a fine medium of logic here that isn't really being represented too often.
Definitely.
So, but little switch up here. I had so in our little draft that we did for Sig and the Big and Beers and Bullshit here. Obviously you had an issue with Mac Jones going number 3. And so that is something I've been, I wanted to bring up when I had you on the show, because you literally messaged and I was like, bro, come on the show and talk about it. Come on, one of them. So being a Niners fan here, kind of switching topics to a little bit more sports here, kind of what is your opinion with trading up for the number 3 pick? How do you feel about the trade first off? Who do you think you should go with? And what do you think about the Mac Jones analysis?
The trade stunned me because the 49ers traded up to get the 3rd overall pick in the draft. And I immediately thought, oh my God, the 49ers are going to get Deshaun Watson. Oh my God, the 49ers are going to get Deshaun Watson. And then I was pumped for it. I'm totally on board with getting Deshaun Watson because he's Deshaun Watson. If everything, that's going on with him right now happens to fall off or whatever. But I would have been pumped to have Deshaun Watson on the 49ers when all this started. So I'm like, holy shit, they're going to get him. And then more came out with them and the 49ers just kind of stopped. It was like they got that 3rd overall pick and then they weren't saying anything. I'm like, okay, so it sounds like they're going to use the draft pick. What are we doing with the third overall draft pick? Because they're obviously not trading it, or it probably would have been done by now. So I was watching, because I don't pay attention to college football. So my team's drafting 3rd overall. I got to pay attention to what's out there right now.
I got to go to quarterback school. Right
I got to learn about people that aren't Trevor Lawrence. So I did. And I was like, holy shit, this Justin Fields kid is a stud. I mean, we're looking at, he is Deshaun Watson. He is a little bit of Lamar Jackson, a little bit of Patty Mahomes. And that's where the game is right now. If we're going to see the 49ers run the NFC for the next however long, and the Chiefs run the AFC for the next however long, which is what I would love to see personally.
Not me though.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
The 49ers are going to need an answer for Patrick Mahomes. Anyone that wants to beat the Chiefs is going to need an answer for Patrick Mahomes. And obviously Tom Brady was it for 1 year, but anyway, I think Justin Fields could definitely be that, because Shanahan is an offensive, brilliant mastermind. And with his quick little screen routes, play action, release the ball 10, 15 yards within 2 or 3 seconds every play, just throw defenses off, and always having gaps. If you throw in someone that has the scramble ability, the RPO ability, and the just run on the move and triple threat ability that Justin Fields would have into that, who's going to guard it? Nobody. But it sounds like at least a lot of experts out of the Bay are saying that Justin Fields is not first, might not even be second on the 49ers radar. They went to both of his pro days, but Mac Jones sounds to be the most favorite to be drafted. And I don't like that only because Mac Jones is not Justin Fields. I want Justin Fields. But no hate to Mac Jones. I love him. He is a great quarterback. In fact, the article that I was reading that came out this morning said he led in QBR, number 1 QBR. He recorded the single highest QBR season in the metrics history, dating back to 2004. He sits atop a leaderboard of best seasons littered with top draft picks and elite NFL QBs. So he leads guys like Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Tua, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck. Those guys all trail Mac Jones. But Mac Jones is just, it kind of feels like the 49ers settling on Mac Jones as opposed to a guy like Justin Fields and what Justin Fields would offer with the Patrick Mahomes dynamic in Shanahan's offense. It feels like you're going for a diamond and settling for gold.
I completely agree. Because I'm going to preface this saying this. I think let's look at your champions. Let's look at what is kind of starting to work in the NFL right now and the teams who are having the most success with their quarterbacks. Let's look at that Chiefs situation, because I think in the Chiefs situation, you have something very, very similar that we have seen previously in San Francisco and also, in KC. Because in San Francisco, involving Alex Smith, and in KC involving Alex Smith, you saw situations to where we had West Coast offenses, and you had your prototypical West Coast quarterback, which is what you're going to see in Alex Smith, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones kind of people. Your guy who's going to, be rocket in the preparation. He's going to be quick to decide. He's going to be flicking the ball, on these little 5-10 yard routes, like you said, bubble screens, play action screens, RPOs and stuff like that. Has a little bit of athleticism, but at the end of the day, like, he's there to make decisions and make them quick. Now, you see where the success has actually gone, because I think you saw the Niners do decent with Alex Smith. I think you saw the Chiefs do decent with Alex Smith. But in those times, a more dynamic quarterback came along, a Colin Kaepernick. For his time, opinions aside, obviously I like Colin Kaepernick. I think he was not schemed around properly. He's a quarterback that you have to scheme around, and that's kind of where I'm leading into with my point here. Patrick Mahomes is schemed around. They are not running the same offense. I can tell you this as a Raiders fan watching the Chiefs at least twice a year, in depth, every single play of a game. They are not running the same offense that they ran with Alex Smith.
No.
That offense is completely different, because that's what you do when you're a smart head coach, when you're an Andy Reid.
Yep, of course.
You adapt your offense. I don't think they did it enough in San Francisco. That's why you saw you guys never really reached the apex that you should have reached and winning a Super Bowl. So now when you're in this situation here and you have a Jimmy Garoppolo who's good enough, he will start for another team. Honestly, my favorite pick right now is for the Patriots to trade probably a conditional 2022 second round pick, to where, like, if he starts like 80 games or like throws for over 3,000 yards, it turns into a first. In 2022, the Patriots traded conditional to the Niners for Jimmy Garoppolo after you guys draft a quarterback.
Love it.
The thing with that is like everybody's projecting Mac Jones. I'm like that's the safe pick. That makes sense on paper. But I think if you're Kyle Shanahan, I think you realize, A, like you said, where the NFL is going, and B, bro, you can fucking scheme around a quarterback. When you are trading 3 first-round picks, that does not single Mac Jones, because to be honest with you, Mac Jones could be had at. And now I don't know what the trade situation was like. Maybe they couldn't have traded up. Maybe they didn't want to wait till the Panthers traded for Sam Darnold. Maybe they didn't want to try to anticipate drafting Mac Jones at, like a 7, 8, 9, where it would cost less. But I don't think you move up to 3 for fucking Mac Jones. We mocked it in the draft for realism's sakes because of the analysts. But I will sit here on a fucking hill and die on it, saying that I do not believe that is the pick. I don't. Now, if they do, I'm going to grade it negatively, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to, like I said, I'm sticking by my opinion here. Justin Fields is the better pick for you guys. I completely agree with that.
I agree with Justin Fields, and I will die all the way till draft day, running out of breath, saying Justin Fields should be a 49er. However, same article that I was just reading from, that article did wake me up to something. It's an ESPN article that came out this morning, saying, and I think the headline was something along the lines of, the 49ers are not taking Justin Fields. I'm like,
yep.
Well, fuck.
Oh, we just got sent that in the group chat. Like, my buddy Jace, who co-hosts Beers and Bull with me here. Yeah, he just sent that to me because he's adamant he thinks Mac Jones is going there, and we have a bet on it.
So. It says, is Mac Jones actually underrated in the draft? So what that article goes on to say is talking about Mac Jones specifically, but it woke me up to something where if I look at it from a broader perspective instead of just the 49ers quarterback, and I look at it as the 49ers as a whole, the 49ers ran headfirst into the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and that was largely thanks to our star-studded defense, young star-studded defense. That defense now is missing 2 massive voices and roles in leadership, with Robert Saleh taking a head coach role in New York, and Richard Sherman's now in free agency, and he's going to Vegas, calling it. He's coming. I love that.
He's coming. Gus Bradley's defense, bro. I think it's only a matter of time.
But Richard Sherman is the leader on that field. He did huge things, calling out audibles and everything for that defense. But both those guys are gone. So the defense is lacking two huge parts of leadership. So we're going to have to look. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to take a lot away from our defense. They are studs. But we have to look at the offense to do a little more. Whereas our defense bailed Jimmy out every game.
Yeah.
So now on the 49ers offense, we have George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, all these guys that are insane.
Well, not to mention this year, you guys could pick up like just another running back piece because as I'm doing my deeper analysis into this draft class, and I don't know, it might be too close, but I might be putting out a draft episode for Singing the Big because like as I look into this running back class, when you talk about someone like Demetric Felton or Kenneth Gainwell, when you talk about guys who are honestly like could be so fucking deadly out of the backfield as a third down back, bro, if you guys pick up one of those guys in the third, fourth, or fifth round, this class is loaded as far as playmakers. And so, yeah, you guys get a quarterback, you guys add another piece because your offensive line, I think maybe you add another piece or two, just to really shore that up. But yeah, with what you're going to be lacking on defense, it's time for the offense to really be a weapon and to utilize what your head coach is all about.
The 49ers are no strangers to having all these questions surrounding them. They have to answer all these questions. Can they do this though? But they can do that. But now can they do this? So now, like I was saying, we got guys like George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel who are insanely talented at getting open wherever their route is on the field. You put the ball in their direction and they'll get it. And not only will they get it, but where they shine is they catch that ball and then they lead the league in yards after contact. So they're just shedding defenders, and that's how the 49ers make up because those passes are 10, 15 yards down the field, but the plays are going for 25, 30. So what I need is a quarterback that has the ability to help his receivers get open, the ability to lead the team, and most importantly, because this is what I think Jimmy Garoppolo lacks, is the confidence. Because maybe it's the pressure or the questions that he has to answer for, but Jimmy Garoppolo, or coming back from the injuries especially, but Jimmy Garoppolo lacks the confidence to make the pinpoint plays when they need to be made. Looking at the Super Bowl 2 years ago when he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders on that bomb by like 2 feet.
I think that's what you literally saw his body language change after that throw.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about Tom Brady, man, we've seen Brady make mistakes, but man, the bounce back ability.
Oh yeah,
Brady is his conscience is fucking harder than anything else on planet Earth.
Absolutely.
Seriously, like when Brady throws an interception, it almost fires him up. You almost worry about picking him off. So you're like, we have to score because he's probably gonna fucking come back.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to do a deep dive rewind and see which quarterback is actually best after the interception because I think him or Breeze, I've seen just bounce back after interceptions, literally leading like just pinpoint, 5 for 5, 75 yards and a touchdown drive, just
I love
right
that.
down the field.
We had a similar conversation a while ago with a friend. We were talking about how quarterbacks, tantrum or whatever when they get picked off or when their receiver messes up the play or something. And we're looking at veterans like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers specifically, because that's who I brought up, where Aaron Rodgers gets pissed at
But he's fired up. That's another one too.
He's so dangerous.
Rodgers will straight up like right afterwards, your killer mentality. You're just like, okay, he's bouncing back after this. They don't throw interceptions on back-to-back drives.
And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, that's another thing I was going to bring up with the 49ers was on the 49ers were in this just realm of possibility where it was like, okay, we could trade for a quarterback. We could keep Jimmy Garoppolo for all we know. Or we could draft a quarterback. So, but when you look at trading quarterbacks, there was all these options where Aaron Rodgers would definitely be open, especially if it's to San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers would definitely be open to coming and playing in the Bay for a year or two.
I think Aaron Rodgers, when it is all said and done, you will see him play elsewhere like Brady does for a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
I think he won't retire in Green Bay I see the fractures going, and with Jordan Love, it's only a matter of time.
Yep.
I think San Francisco would have been if for some reason at 3 y'all don't draft a quarterback of the future or he flops in a year or two, then Rodgers comes. But I think that would have been my number one spot. He goes long term.
Definitely. Yeah. And if you don't have Aaron Rodgers, you have obviously Deshaun Watson. Then another quarterback that surprisingly was very vocal about how his feelings on his team this year was Russell Wilson. And when that came out, I would have been stupid stoked to get Russell Wilson.
That would have taken you guys like 7 first-round picks.
Oh, yeah, that would have
for him to turn around and have to play him.
That would have been disgusting. But oh my God, getting Russell Wilson out of our opponents in the division and playing against our opponents in the division, literal nut.
Yeah, like, well, in the NFC West, we were kind of talking about this before the podcast too. It is fucking dangerous this year, bro. Oh. Dangerous because you still have Seattle and Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, all them boys up there in Seattle. Mm-hmm. You know, the Rams are looking dangerous getting Matty Stafford into town in that offense. And McVay, I think that unlocks the McVay offense. I think you're sitting here and, like, for nerd video game analogy, you had a silver key, and so you're sitting at a silver level. This fucking rocks you up to, like, platinum, to the top tier. Because I love Matt Stafford. He's underrated. He's a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. And I think you're going to see just a renaissance, what am I looking for? Like, just coming back to life, essentially a rejuvenation of Matthew Stafford in Los Angeles. The warm weather, playing in that bomb ass stadium, cools. I like the jerseys, even though some people think they're tacky. I kind of like the jerseys a little bit. I wish they threw a little bit different design, but I like that blue and yellow design. Mm-hmm. Obviously, as you see on the Beers and Bulls logo, which is inspired by the Brewers' old school colors, not the Rams. But no, I love the Rams, but I think the team that grew the most this offseason so far we're talking about is the Arizona Cardinals. Because you bring J.J. Watt. A.J. Green is a decent addition. I think he brings more to the locker room. And if he can stay healthy, he brings a lot to the field.
Oh, yeah.
But the big addition there, I mean, from my Raiders is Rodney Hudson. Because they needed offensive line, and Rodney Hudson can command an offensive line better than anybody in the NFL.
Definitely. I like the Cardinals specifically for adding J.J. Watt and already having DeAndre Hopkins. That's another thing where...
Well, they add J.J. Watt, opposite Chandler Jones. That's the thing, is JJ doesn't actually have to go in there and be the primary rusher. He can finally play second fiddle for once. I don't know if he will. He might end up being better than Chandler, but that's the thing, is like, God, who do you fucking double in that situation?
Whatever team, I guess I haven't really looked at the schedule if it's out, but whatever division ends up playing the NFC West this year in the NFL is going to have a fucking nightmare of a time.
It should already be released who plays the NFC. I want to say... Because I think we played the North last year.
But you're playing the 49ers defensive line. You've got Nick Bosa coming at you. We re-signed D Ford. He's coming at you. Fred Warner, in my opinion, is the best linebacker in the league, and you're facing him. Then you've got...
God, you guys have just fucking made pick after pick after pick at linebacker. Because who was the guy who was really good for like 1 year before he retired? His rookie year.
Not Solomon Thomas.
Which we have him. Thanks for him. I think we're going to put him at 3 tech. And he will. No, to be honest, I think we're going to use him properly. He wasn't used right with you guys.
No.
But, who does play the NFC West? Fuck it. But, no, who did you get? Chris Bortland. Chris Bortland was
that's what you're talking about.
Bortland.
Okay, yeah.
Chris Bortland, yeah. Before he retired for concussion issues.
Yeah, and then you've got... obviously, like we just said, the Cardinals with Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. And then you've got the Seahawks, and you've got Bobby Wagner there. You've got Jamal Adams there, who's a safety that's going to sack the quarterback once a game, probably.
Oh, yeah. He had like 11 sacks last year.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Like top 5 in the NFL in sacks as a strong safety.
I love that guy.
Which you need to put him at that role anyways. Like, he's decent in coverage, but I mean, as far as like your ball hawking, strong safety, blitz the rusher,
he will attack you from every angle.
And to be honest, I see a lot of the Raiders doing that. I think we get a center field playing free safety, and we start playing Jonathan Abram that way, because Abram's the same way. He can do decent in coverage, but last year we were trying to play this like 2 safety scheme, and neither one of our safeties were good coverage guys. And it's like, why the fuck would you run a 2 high safety scheme like that? Get yourself your deep center fielder. We can play cover 3 with the outside cornerbacks, and then from there, like, your strong safety can kind of play that joker role. You can you can throw him in the slot, cover tight ends, blitz him. It's a different game for him at that point, other than just trying to throw him to straight up zone coverage.
That's what I like to see a lot with Fred Warner as a linebacker. Is he's another guy that's just everywhere. I still think after last year with all the injuries that the 49ers defense saw, it really came to light that Fred Warner is a monster as a linebacker in that game. But
all pro, he was first team all pro, wasn't he? Yeah, deservedly so.
Constantly pacing. He's everywhere on the field at once. He's watching the quarterback, watching the receiver, watching the run all the time. And he's another guy, like I said, I mean, he's not a strong safety like Jamal Adams, but he will be in the quarterback's face, and he'll be stopping the run constantly. And then all of a sudden he's picking off passes. He's insane.
He's the type of guy who affects every facet of the game, and I think when you're a defensive player, you can do that. That's when you get into transcendent status, because we've seen guys like J.J. Watt and Khalil Mack still be able to pick passes off and, short plays like that, even with being defensive linemen. But then when you're talking about, your next level players, linebackers and safeties, which Khalil Mack, I guess, outside linebacker at one point, but he's always been an edge rusher defensive end. But when you're talking about a middle linebacker, strong safety, a guy who can get you a handful of interceptions in the season, when you're talking, I think the respectable stat there is 125.5. If you can get 120 tackles, 5 picks, and 5 sacks, that is legendary status.
Yeah,
right? That is legendary status. And you see Fred Warner and guys like Jamal Adams get to that all the time. You saw guys like Luke Kuechly impact the game like that. Shout out to him, Hall of Famer, even with early retirement.
Yeah, and that's like I was saying, the 49ers have. It was a blessing and a curse to get all those injuries on our defense last year, as humbling as it was to go from Super Bowl runner-up.
I think it makes you guys a better team long term.
Long term, I agree. But you got to see guys when you don't have Nick Bosa on the field, when you don't have D Ford on the field, we didn't have DeForest Buckner. He was playing for the Colts. When you lose massive roles of talent like that, you see guys like Fred Warner show up, guys like Jaquiski Tart show up, and
that's almost when you start like it's not advantageous to lose a year like that, but it's almost it's the slingshot effect, because you pulled back a little bit more only to extend forward, because out of any team right now that looks good, obviously you talk about the Cowboys at 10, and as far as top 10 teams who look good next year with Dak coming back, that's a big one coming back. The Falcons, with them losing a lot of games late and getting new coaching in there, could be a team to turn it around, but by far the most exciting team picking in the top 10 is your Niners. Hands down, I think, because you have a team who injuries obviously being a big issue, but I mean, if you take care of that in a perfect world, you scratch out that asterisk, that concern for you guys, you're playoff contenders, you're Super Bowl contenders again this next year without a question.
It's not often that you sit here and you talk about NFL teams that are picking in the top 3, like where that pick could very likely extend to the Super Bowl.
And respectfully, you guys were picking 12th originally, but still, I mean, if you were picking a top 15 team with the most excitement, I still would have rocked the Niners. I still would have said they were the most intriguing team for me picking in the top 15.
Even at the number 12 pick, the Niners were still exciting, because at that point there was some ambiguity. What are they going to do? Lineman, running back, quarterback, wide receiver.
Well, I will say, because we were doing the fake draft and the mock draft we did for Sig and the Big between myself, Sigland, Mike, and Jace. And I had the Niners. And before the Niners actually traded the pick, the funny part is we had been in discussions, Jace and I, between the Dolphins and the Niners, because we were GMing both those teams.
Oh, really?
We had been in discussions as far as, like, Jace had just been super busy, not gotten back in depth with me. But we had talked about a 12-3 swap.
That's funny.
About a 12-3 swap previously. I didn't see the Eagles trade happening after that, but we definitely talked a 12-3 swap at one point, because I saw the Niners were going to make a move this offseason. I think whether honestly, they were my favorite for Deshaun Watson before all the kind of allegations started coming out about him.
That's what. So no matter what happens, they could draft. They could shock the world and draft
Kyle Pitts. That's been the popular one recently. Is Kyle Pitts going to go number 3 to the Niners? Did the Niners trade up for a second tight end? And I'm like, first of all, can you imagine how fucking deadly that would be?
Right?
Yeah. Okay, New England, we see your fucking free agent signing of tight ends. We'll pair George Kittle with Kyle Pitts. Yeah. Fuck the world. Honestly, the only comment, I think Kyle Pitts enters the NFL as the number 4 tight end right off the bat. Right after Waller, Kittle, and Kelsey.
He's going to Atlanta, by the way.
I think so, 100%. That's where I'd like to have him.
I'd like him there.
Yep.
But no matter what, whoever they draft, however they draft throughout the whole thing, what I've learned as a Niners fan, what anyone, whether a Niners fan or not, should have known by now, is that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are 2 brains in the football field that demand your trust, because they will pull it off. Look at that defense. We're looking at before our Super Bowl year, we were looking at 4 or 5 years since Kaepernick brought us back, that it was first round pick, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, the Niners are terrifying.
Yep. You guys came up out of nowhere, because you guys were, like a 4-win team before that. And all of a sudden, getting like Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner back-to-back years, picking in the top 5, and then all of a sudden it's like, The Niners are back, baby. So I know it's going to be an exciting draft for you. It's going to be an exciting rest of the offseason here. I appreciate you stopping by and talking football here. This was a lot of fun to kind of, talk that, chop it up about some different shit too. What are you doing draft night? Because I know depending on when this is released, they might hear it after the fact. But we're going to be doing Buffalo Wild Wings. So we got a room there. If you ever want to show up, bring the kiddos, watch a little bit. Ooh. Obviously, you don't have to stay too long because y'all are at number 3. So.
Yeah, I might be down for that. I like wings and beer and talking with people that want to talk about football. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got the draft room there. But yeah, I'm super excited for the NFL draft. April 29th, 6 p.m. First pick, I believe, goes in at 6:30 or 6:45, something like that. But be there, don't be a square. Anything else you want to kind of pop in before promote or shout out before we go off the air?
I don't have anything to promote. I'm pretty boring. But like I've been saying this whole time, go 49ers. And next weekend, I know we started the show talking about UFC. So next weekend, we got Kamaru Usman defending his welterweight title against a full camp Jorge Masvidal. Oh man, I'm so excited for that. So tune in. I'm not gonna say to buy it because I think the UFC ESPN Plus deal is trash. But tune in however you can tune in. Go to your local Buffalo Wild Wings or sports bar and watch that fight because Kamaru Usman is a welterweight monster.
It's gonna be such a good fight. I already have it on the books to watch that. Like we were talking about that a little bit at work, and I think it's definitely gonna be a topic of conversation this week. But man. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got, man.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Tyler. Really appreciate it, bro. Once again, that's Tyler Young with Beers and Bullshit. My name is Cole Blenner, and we are out. We are out.